Today we will discuss about critical analysis. Okay. So when the video is there, is the voice is clear? So if voice is having any problem, I can turn off the video. Okay. So we will go for critical analysis today. The first part is contribution. Okay. So tell me, what all things you will write in contribution? You know about Durkheim. We started discussing about Durkheim from chapter 1. So what all things you will write here as contribution?
The recognition of sociology as science. I mean, using quantitative analysis is widely.
Not recognition of sociology as science, attempt to make sociology similar to science. Okay?
Yes, attempt, sir.
Yeah. So he tried to, make sociology similar to natural sciences, right? So his attempt towards objectivity, his attempt towards scientific discipline, that you can write, okay? So he attempted to make sociology similar to natural science by defining the subject matter, by using, quantitative techniques and all those things that you can discuss. Apart from that?
Sir, causal functional approach.
But which context you will tell that? Why causal functional approach?
Illegitimate teleology.
Yeah,
Yes.
that is basically to explain that up till functionalism as a perspective always face the problem of illegitimate teleology because sometimes cause itself is a function, right? So to avoid that, he went for causal functional approach. It is not simply functional approach, causal functional approach, separation of cause and function. Okay, otherwise. Apart from that,
difference between psychology and sociology.
Psychology and sociology, universal concepts. Okay, so it's not that sociology and psychology, it is Durkheim never understood or considered these are psychological. Okay, so once Durkheim took up the analysis, something which is considered as psychological became sociological. Again, in the case of division, so you're talking about suicide, right? Sunil, you're
Yes.
talking about suicide. So what about division of
Yes,
labor? That is something which is related to economy became sociological. What about theory of religion? Something which is considered as philosophical became sociological. So rather than saying like that, you can always interpret in this way. Once Durkheim took up the analysis, many social phenomena which are considered as not sociological have come under the domain of sociological or sociology. Okay, then what else apart from this? So here, see, why I am writing this is because you should be in a position. This I am not going to teach you this parts comparison between sociology, psychology, economy, sociology, philosophy, sociology, etc. You should be in a position to write it. Yeah. What else? Yeah. Tell me. Yeah, recognized sociology as a distinct subject. Yes. Yeah. Sociology as a distinct subject. And he wrote distinctively as a sociologist. He is the first person who started writing as a sociologist. He gave distinctive sociological explanation of all social phenomena. So he is considered to be the first sociologist also, in fact.
Gave subject matter to sociology.
Gave subject matter to sociology in terms of
Social facts.
social facts. So he stressed on studying social facts, and that became the subject matter of sociology. He gave importance to society. Apart from that, he demonstrated the use of methods. Not only gave methods, demonstrated the use of methods, and we have seen multivariate analysis. Okay, we have also seen indirect experiment, etc. So if you get a question on Durkheim's methodology or methods, you have to write this statistical techniques. Okay, multivariate analysis, indirect experiment. These methods has to be written. by quoting examples. Indirect experiment, you talk about that theory, how was it done. Multivariate analysis, you talk about suicide. Statistical techniques, you talk about suicide. Anything else? So that's enough. Difference between inaction and no, that is not a big one. Even that is criticized also. Okay, so this is enough. I think these points will do, right? So we can see what is written over here. Emile Durkheim may very well be sociology's greatest theorist till date. That's a statement. Durkheim's theories are considered significant not only in terms of distinctive sociological explanation, but also highlighting the importance of studying social order in sociology. He attempted to develop a distinct subject matter for sociology and proposed a number of scientific methods. So what is the subject matter? Studying social facts. What is social facts? Social facts are the ways of acting, thinking and feeling which are external to individual and are endowed with the power of coercion by the reason of which they control over him. So anytime you should be in a position to tell these definitions exactly like this. All these definitions that we are learning about, only few definitions I'll ask you to learn. The religion is a system of beliefs and practices related to sacred things which are set apart and forbidden. So like at any point of time, similarly division of labor, hardly 3 theories, 3 definition, right? Similarly when it comes to Weber, maybe 3 more theories, 3 definition. Marx also, we have talked about the definition of class and then alienation. Few definitions only are there, but you have to write exactly the same. Scientific methods, we will be talking about multivariate analysis, indirect experiments, statistical techniques and all those things. For the first time he used a functional perspective for the purpose of theorization. He even attempted to resolve the problem of illegitimate teleology in functionalism by separating cause and function, which he exhibit in his theory of division of labor. We have seen that, and religion also, we have seen that. Finally, Durkheim's approach is considered pragmatic when he deals with social phenomena which are considered as general problems. Okay, for example, suicide. We consider it as general problem, but he understood this by using the concept of forces of integration and regulation, and these are the problems within the society and it has to be solved. That's why it is considered as a pragmatic approach. Okay, so has to be solved. In this context, for example, the problem like suicide, crime, etc. has been understood by Durkheim as normal phenomena in society. Due to these contributions, Durkheim is considered as great or greatest sociologist. Rendell Collins in his book states, Emile Durkheim may very well be sociology's greatest theorist to date. So maybe 1 or 2 line is what you need to write in your answer from what we have discussed here. Okay, so you can say he gave a specific subject matter to sociology, okay, and he wrote distinctively or gave distinctive sociological explanation. You can also talk about the methods he gave. You cannot afford to write too much about this unless the question is specific to contribution. Now generally, okay, now tell me what are the general criticisms?
Give more emphasis on society, neglecting individual.
So first he gave emphasis to society and he ignored the individual. So which thinker you will use here to criticize? I want to substantiate. Weber, right? So Durkheim giving importance to society, ignoring individual, but Weber is talking about meanings attached by the actor to his action. So when you're raising this point, you have to substantiate it with Weber. Okay, that is one general criticism. In all theories, general means in all his theories you can see this. Okay, apart from that?
His hypothesis is based on wrong data collection.
But that is specific to suicide.
Functional perspective.
Yeah, he is giving importance to functional perspective.
He considered everything every social institution has a social factor thing.
What is the problem in that?
He considered it as a thing and he's describing it as like society perspective and he's neglecting individual emotions and everything.
Okay. So this is relevant, more relevant compared to that one. We will come to that also. So he is using a functional perspective, and at the same time he is ignoring the conflict. So he is trying to find everything in functional terms, but it is not necessary that everything is always functional. There can be some conflictual or dysfunctional aspects also. Okay, so which thinker you will use here?
Karl Marx.
Yeah, as soon as you see this word conflict, you will use Marx. But later you will study, you can use Merton also. When we discuss about Merton, you will understand that Merton, although he is a functionalist, he is a critique of functionalist also. And that's why Merton's functionalism is a neo-functionalism, some modification in functionalism. Merton add an element of dysfunction in functionalism. I will come to this. Merton as a thinker that you need to study. As of now, you have valid thinker to criticize, or the best thinker which is possible to criticize, that is Karl Marx. I'm saying you can also use Merton. You will study that later. As of now, you can keep it aside. Yeah, he used data from secondary sources. Okay, mainly secondary sources, mainly we can say in case of religion. Theory of religion only he referred to various ethnographies, but that is, specific criticism that we'll have to discuss under specific. Generally, what else? Macro perspective, or give importance to society, or macro perspective. Yeah, Neha. His theories cannot be tested. He himself never went and collected data. So there are obvious practical limitations in testability of his theory. For example, theories like religion, etc. So even though he is claiming and claim to be inductivist, he claimed to be objective study theories which are testable and universally applicable, but there are obvious limitation in testing all theories. Apart from this, again, when I talked about inductive approach, so he is considered as, he himself was saying that he is going for inductivism, he is a positivist, right? And he is following the scientific methods, he is stressing on objectivity, everything. But his theories mostly you can see subjectivity. Secondly, Vinith, turn off your mic. So his theories are mostly you can see subjectivity. So even though he is claiming that he is a positivist, most of his theories are not inductive. These are deductive. These are in the nature of deductive approach. It seems like the theory is already there in his mind even before he take up the analysis. For example, the theory of religion. That theory is already in his mind and he want to give the same conclusion. That's why he specifically referred to those Arunta tribes. Similarly, the data which he collected from police stations, etc. is also colored by this approach. It is a kind of deductive approach. He want to prove the same thing only and he collected data. So already it's a kind of deductive approach in spite of his claim towards inductive approach and being a positivist. So the very, the base itself is actually challenged over all the theories. So it is almost deductive, it is subjective. So this is a criticism, this is a criticism, and giving importance to society, following a macro perspective and functional approach. So this is enough. 3 or 4 major criticism is enough for you. Even if you don't have specific, still no problem, you can manage it with general criticism because it is applicable to all the theories. So
One more, sir. He gave grand theories.
which one?
Grand theories like.
No, grand theory. Emil Durkheim was not known for grand theory. That is Parson. Emil Durkheim's theories are not considered as grand theory. Grand theory and universal theory are different. Universal theory means applicable for any situation, etc. Grand theory we will discuss in detail when it comes to Parson. Durkheim's theories are not considered as grand theory. These are universal theory, but his ideas to give universal theory, but universally not applicable, not testable, not replicable. That we have already seen. Okay.
Sir, sir, we'll be discussing one of the criticisms few minutes back that not everything is functional in the society, not every example like Durkheim says. That's what I asked in the chat also, that suicide won't have any function, right? Or is there any function for suicide?
Suicide, he is not separating cause and function here in case of suicide. He is only talking about the cause. But obviously we can reduce the function of like certain rate of suicide is normal. Okay, if suicide crosses beyond a limit, let's suppose crosses beyond a limit, what is the idea? If it is crossing beyond a limit, it indicates that there are problems with integration and regulation in society. So if you find certain cases of suicides which are related to because of lack of regulation, for example, a lot of accidents are happening or a lot of drunken driving is happening. So these are issues related to regulation. So proper regulative mechanism should be there. Or integration problem is there. So proper integration problem mechanism should be there in society. So it also serves some function. For example, farmer suicide if you take, okay, certain rate of suicide is normal because it will actually highlight the problems that is faced by the farmer. Otherwise, how will it come to know these are the problems of the farmers? Once this happens, for example, when in Tamil Nadu, this have you heard this issue, Kantuvetti? Kantuvetti? Like a family came in front of the collectorate in Tirunelveli and burned themselves completely, entire family, husband, wife, and 2 kids. So this is like giving money for high interest rates, money lender problem. Okay, so you will charge like you will tell the people that you are charging 10%, and when you look into the bank will also charge you 10 to 12%. But this 10% is what? This is per month. But these common people don't understand this trap, and they will take money and 10% per month, and you are effectively paying 120% per year. What is the interest in bank? 12%. So this is per year. So there is a big problem, and once these people commit suicide in front of the collectorate, entire family got burned. Even 2-year kid was there, 4-year child was there. These 2 child were from the same family and husband and wife. So these 4 died, and then the measures have been taken to take care of this problem of money lenders. So suicide having some function. That the problem of integration and regulation, here the problem of regulation, right, that money lenders should have been regulated. So problem of integration and regulation could be highlighted, and similarly is the case with farmer suicide also. Okay, so same is the case with all this integration, egoistic suicide, etc. You will understand the problems which is going in the society, whether it is alienation or whatever it is. So that problem could be solved with certain mechanisms. That is in case there is a function also, but in his theory he is not separating that, not explaining about the function.
Okay, so he has not separated that.
Yeah, no. That's why we haven't discussed it. Otherwise we'll discuss it.
But sir, would it be good to write this like why suicide, like the function of suicide? What you explain, because there can be other ways. Since farmers or this example of this family who burned themselves, they were not being heard. But then they had other ways. Maybe farmers can stop producing the food, then they kill, or maybe like Naxals, they can pick up weapons also. But then why suicide? Like, would it be appreciated in the paper to write it? Like people committing suicide, like an example.
See, as a sociologist, we should be seeing these things in different perspectives. So one of the perspective, functional perspective, if you are thinking, okay, we have to say that there are some functions of suicide. But if you are talking about, so this should be, if the question is about, see, simply they will ask you in paper 2, you will see explain in sociological perspective. Okay, so explain by keeping in mind a sociological perspective. 10 marker. This is how the question will come. So simply they will ask you farmer suicide. So what you will write? You know the content, but you need to write in perspective. So what you will do? You will first talk about functional dimension. See, simple way, I'm saying the complex way, and you will actually understand towards the end of our discussion how to write sociologically and everything. But simply, if you need to write a sociological answer, farmer suicide, you start with you can talk about the functions, because firstly it is suicide. So Durkheim has done an authentic study, so you can start with the function. Then you can also bring in Marxian perspective. How this is, you can talk about the conflict perspective of suicide, how it is dysfunctional, or how it is why only mostly have-nots are committing suicide, not the haves. Okay, that dimensions you can bring in. You can also talk about macro level, macro level, micro level. So this is how you can simply bring different dimensions. So as a sociologist, it is your responsibility. If there is a function, you have to talk about the function. Okay, dysfunction also is there, obviously, there is no doubt. You have to talk both. Okay.
Okay. Sir, can there be any other function for farmer suicide? Is there any other function which we can write?
No, what function? Even this function which I have told you, it might have some, this is a latent function, hidden function. Okay, we will come to these concepts later when we discuss about Merton, manifest and latent function. These are hidden functions. So there will be some mechanisms which will be operated in society to take care of these problems, like that.
No, I agree that the answer which you gave that on the function for I'm just asking like if we had to add more points, maybe if this was a 20 marker then.
No, whatever is coming to your mind, you can write.
That's what nothing else is coming to my mind. That's
whatever way you need to interpret, you can interpret. There is no limitation for these kind of questions.
So we can write functionals like this, right? Government has brought many reforms for suicides of farmers by giving credit cards to reduce the suicide. It can be a functional, right?
That is what we have discussed, no? Actually, we are able to identify the problems of the farmer and we can take the necessary measures. You are talking about the overdraft facility which is given by government to the farmers, Kisan credit card and etc., right? So these are the same thing that I have discussed.
Okay.
Yeah, but don't reduce this to economic level. We don't want to discuss that economic aspects in the this sociology paper. Okay, so we were talking about Durkheim's theories are often accused to have employed a complex form of deductivism in spite of his claim for inductivism. I hope you understood, right? Firstly, he used the data from secondary sources in almost all the studies. Secondly, it seems that the theories and ideas were there in Durkheim's mind even before he took up the analysis. Durkheim's analysis also lacks a sensitivity for individuals' own subjective meanings, emotions, motivations, etc. Right? So we have already discussed this point. He ignored the individual's motivation. So I have just written Weber. So you need to explain this. According to Weber, individuals' meanings, emotions, etc. are considered as the subject matter of sociology that you will study in the next chapter. We have already discussed this in scope also. Durkheim ignored conflict. So here you will talk about Marx. So you know that, so I am not adding that. Durkheim proposed a development of universal theories or laws, but none of his theories can be truly considered as universal. Moreover, his theories cannot be empirically tested. Finally, the scientific method which Durkheim proposed rely heavily on subjectivity of the investigator. Even the indirect experiment that he is talking about, so which small religion you will choose, right? Instead of selecting the bigger religion, you can select the small religion and you can study this. But which one you will choose is with respect to the investigator only. So there are problems of subjectivity. So now we will go for specific. So social facts. Durkheim argued for observation of social facts as things, right? But it is very difficult to do the same in practice. The interpretation may differ from person to person. Second point. Durkheim advocated absolute objectivity, which is not possible in practice. Personal preconception cannot be removed. Okay. So any investigation, if you take, there will be some personal bias, personal preconception, because you are dealing with human beings, you are dealing with society. So absolute objectivity is not possible. And in fact, as per the postmodern thinkers, it is neither desirable also. Durkheim negated the individual will, that is the same as that of Weber. Individual will while understanding social facts. His theories are inadequate in explaining the different influences of social facts on different persons. In this context, Weber states, social facts do not exist as things in their own right, waiting to be gathered as pebbles on the beach. It is not like pebbles that you can go and simply pick it up as things. It is never possible. According to Weber, social facts exist within the individual and do not influence the individual from outside. Social facts guide the individual on the basis of his own interpretation of social fact. This we will study when we discuss about Weber. So what Durkheim says is, individual, let's say A, the person A is acting upon the pressure from the society. You are preparing for civil service exam because of the pressure from family, society, etc. That's the Durkheim's idea. But what Weber says is, these social facts like family, society, religion, everything exist outside the, so according to Durkheim it is outside and influence individual. But for Weber it exists within the individual. So I carry in my mind about my the notion of family and everything is there, and these do not influence individual from outside. It is from inside. I think of family, and what I think of family will be manifested in terms of my action. So social facts guide the individual on the basis of his own interpretation. The way I am going to interpret the society, the way I am going to interpret the family, I will take action. Okay, so that is how you need to understand. We will discuss this in detail when we come to Weber. Durkheim failed to propose any criteria for identifying the objective manifestation of social facts. This has been totally left to the investigator. So this we have discussed already, where we have discussed when we discussed about the rules of observation. In rules of observation, I have told you, you have to consider social facts as things, and I have told you, although it may be difficult, but the collective representation, the concept that we have discussed, right? Because of this concept, collective representation, you can see the objective manifestation of social fact. Even though social facts are abstract phenomena, but the objective manifestation is visible in the form of certain symbols, etc. I have told you the sindoor, okay, the temple, church, masjid, etc. These are indications of social facts like marriage, religion, etc. So identification of these manifestations again left out to the investigator. That is involving subjectivity. Okay, so you can add more criticism. There are a lot of criticism which is there. I have seen that in essential sociology. So whatever is easy for you, you can add. 2 or 3 is enough for any theory. Keep that in mind. There is no need to mug up everything. Don't make it very difficult. Anyway, standard criticism, general criticism, you will not face any problem. Specific 2, 3 is enough from all this. Okay. Criticism of division of labor. According to Durkheim, struggle for existence in present occupation resulted in competition, right, which led to emergence of specialization or division of labor. This is what we have discussed. Durkheim totally ignored other consequences of competition. In modern society nowadays, competition is dysfunctional as it generates stress and tension. But Durkheim talked about this dysfunction in his pathological form. But that is temporary. But in modern society, this dysfunction you can see across this stress and tension and competition. Moreover, the conditions which Durkheim specifies for division of labor to be normal are utopian. It will definitely won't come into existence, and it is not possible. For example, if you talk about occupational associations, they only try to maintain their integrity and their rights. For example, doctors association, they will fight for their benefits only. Okay, so the occupational associations are promoting the interest of their members and are least concerned about social order. So you are talking about this code of conduct, everything, but that may not be practically possible. Durkheim talks of division of labor as a phenomena existing in all spheres of social life, right? So Durkheim said division of labor is a phenomena which permeates through each and every aspect of social life. But while explaining the cause, he only talked about division of labor in occupation, right? Because of struggle for existence, it came into existence. So that is also a challenge. Durkheim considered division of labor in other spheres as an extension of struggle for existence as too simple and unconvincing. So these are for the sake of criticizing. Now whatever you want to, that also you can write. Okay, religion, if you want to criticize, you can talk about he used the secondary sources, you can add that point. The indirect experiment that he is using, it involves subjectivity, that also you can write. So then the concepts that you have said, the idea of sacred may not be true. Okay, then 1 minute, let me complete it. Then, so these are things you can write, and multiplicity of religion result into conflict, right? Durkheim was talking about integration, so multiplicity of religion will result into conflict. There you can write Merton. Merton is talking about that, and Marx's perspective also, you can use religion as an exploitative mechanism. So all these points you can write in religion. And if you need to criticize the suicide, You can talk about the data collected. Data collected is not necessarily correct. Data from police records is what he collected. So that not all the cases are reported properly because of the stigma which is attached. Then you can also talk about the study which I have told you, Atkinson study. Okay, I will update these things in the app. Okay, everything will be updated later. So Atkinson study means it is all as per the opinion of the coroners, the people who do the autopsy or the postmortem, right? So they say this is suicide, then it becomes suicide. Otherwise, it's not suicide. So that is also a problem. So here also you can see subjectivity, the subjectivity of the coroners. Apart from that, some cases of accidents might have reported as suicide. Some cases of suicides might have reported as accidents. Okay, so these criticisms you can add. Then we will go for relevance. Yeah, Miss Reen, Miss Ba, tell me.
Nothing says clear.
Okay. Relevance. Although Durkheim's macro approach may not find favor in an era of postmodernism, still Durkheim's approach are considered highly relevant. Social phenomena studied by Durkheim still exist. In spite of all efforts of welfare state, the social problems continue. This makes Durkheim's pragmatic approach relevant. Durkheim's theories are highly relevant in understanding social order in modern society. His conception of differences and similarities, both generating state of integration, is quite useful in understanding the present society. What do you mean by this? Differences and similarities. In case of organic solidarity, it is the differences which bring the society together. In case of mechanical or solidarity, it was the similarities that bring the people together. People are alike, people live in segments, people live in bands, they perform the similar occupation, the laws are repressive. Here people are different, complex society, laws are restitutive or reformative. Okay, still people are together because of the differences. We seek in others where we lack in ourselves, and associations are framed or formed wherever there is a true exchange of services. Okay, for example, in the present society, division of labor integrate people by generating functional interdependence. But religion still exists and binds people into community and thereby helping in maintaining social order. Therefore, despite ever increasing individualism, people tend to live together. Durkheim's theories has also been used to explain the relevance of internet communities for the emergence of global social order. Similarly, Durkheim's theories are also help to explain the continuation of number of institutions which are considered not relevant. For example, when we talk about certain festivals, which may not be relevant nowadays, those festivals, but still Durkheim's approach, you can actually understand the relevance of those festivals, because all these celebrations are for what? All these celebrations are for togetherness. Otherwise, these religious festivals and all have, no role nowadays in the present society, where people are so much individualistic. Okay, very complex society where people don't have time. Still, these festivals are there because people still love the togetherness, and we are not worshipping the God, or we are not celebrating it for the God. The festivals, we are celebrating it for the society or for the togetherness. So that's the reason why the festivals are still continuing despite the fact that there is no reason. Sometimes some sowing festival, okay, so these festivals are still continuing despite the fact that in some areas even agriculture is not there. Still festivals related to that is continued. Okay, so that's about the relevance. We have gone fast because these are very simple criticism parts. So general things. Since we know the theory very well, criticism should be easy. Any doubts here? You should be in a position to criticize every theory. From your side also, you have to make analysis. And apart from these criticism which I have given to you, general, keep it the same. Everybody will have this content. Okay, reductivism, lack of sensitivity of individual. That means you can write Weber. Ignore conflict, that you can write Marx. Cannot be tested, subjectivity. So these 5 criticism anytime you can write. Even if you don't know any specific criticism, your answer will be okay and good with this 5 criticism itself. But obviously, if you see each and every theory from your side also, even if you don't know any criticism by the thinkers, you can criticize. Take up one theory, suicide, and raise the criticisms. What do you feel like with respect to the data collected? Okay, with respect to the subjectivity, with respect to the variables you have taken. You have taken married, marital background, rural, urban background, rich, poor background. So maybe some more variables could have been taken. There are many other variables which can be reason for people committing suicide. His concept of social currents are very vague. Okay, all this, whatever you feel like you can write, but it has to be specific. Then when you take up religion, you can take up religion, and what do you think about religion, you can write. Okay, like indirect experiment is not involving subjectivity. It is a clear case of deductivism. Okay, like that you can write criticism and conception about sacred and profane. Use your own mind and criticize that. Talk about Marx concept of religion. Talk about Merton, multiplicity of religion create conflict. Okay, so division of labor also, social fact also. I don't think that you will face any problem here in case of critical analysis. Only thing is that understand the theory properly, then criticism will not be a big problem. Yeah, any doubts?
Sir, one thing.
Mm.
Sir, you wrote the answers in your own language, or you use the language from this PDF only?
Everybody will be writing in your own language. So
okay.
Automatically now you think that, now you may think that you will prepare 10 markers from each topic, you may prepare 20 markers from each topic, and you will revise, and you will be in a position to write. Okay, see, there are people who have given mains in this batch itself. Okay, so they also know this fact. It is never possible.
But you must have used the terminology from the PDF.
Obviously, these terms should come. You cannot, for whatever that I have underlined here, that should be there in your answer.
Okay. Okay.
I have underlined here, these things has to be there in your answer.
Because people say that in optional you have to write like you are a professor type thing.
Yeah, you have to write like a sociologist.
Sociologist, yes.
Yeah, you should write like a sociologist, and I will teach you how to write like a sociologist. After this, it will be like that.
Sir, one more thing. How did you manage to learn these terminology? I mean, how did you remember all these stuff? You revised them multiple times, or
once we complete syllabus, it will come to you automatically. All these will come to you. Okay. Now anything related to marks, right? Exactly the same thing will happen, because I know the entire syllabus, so I can talk like this. Once you complete the syllabus, you will also be one more revision, you will also be in a position to talk and write also. For example, right now, if somebody is asking about alienation or class struggle, I can even write in 100 words and 400 words also. So that will come automatically once your understanding is good about that particular topic. It's up to you, the way you are, reducing the content and everything.
Sir, will four revisions will be enough to mug up all these things?
Which one? I didn't get you.
Sir, 4 revisions will be enough.
It is up to you. How can I tell 4 revisions is enough?
Okay.
It is up to you. Some people will just read and go right, and they will clear it. It's all up to the individual.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. But obviously, once you complete the syllabus, I don't think that you will face any problem with respect to sociology. You try to clear prelims. You don't worry about sociology part, okay? Even after prelims also, we will meet. We will discuss. Now I'm only focusing on completing the syllabus. I will complete the syllabus, and after thinkers, I'll go like super fast. We'll complete the syllabus, but you try to clear the prelims. That is, for all of you, that is more important, not this thing. This is very easy only.
Okay.
Prelims is the toughest part, sir. Prelims is the toughest part.
Yeah, prelims is a difficult part. Because prelims exam is easy compared to mains, but the point is, 1% only will get through. That is a problem. In case of mains, there is a 30% probability is there. When you have 30% out of 10,000, 3,000 will be called for interview. So 30% probability is there. But here, 10,000 from 10 lakh. So 1% probability is there. It is because of this probability that makes it different. difficult. Otherwise, if you consider the exam, obviously mains is difficult. But yeah. Anything else?
Sir, any suggestion for medieval and art and culture? I am facing difficulty for prelims.
If you're facing a difficulty from medieval, you can afford to ignore that. Medieval only. If you're facing only problem with respect to medieval, you can even ignore that. But if possible, try to cover. Otherwise, ignore medieval. May not. If it's not your worst time, then you may not face much problem. If you're good in other subjects, medieval you can ignore. But ancient and art you follow. At least you try to do this. Even in case of medieval also, I always tell you this, go with the test series of different institute. Maybe if you collect around 50 to 100 question papers, you will get a lot of questions, potential question, the most probable question, because these people might have done some research. Based on that only the repeated questions, right? So you don't want to read entire ancient or architecture, etc. So you will get the potential questions. If you cannot study this potential question, you forget about studying the textbooks and solving the question. So first you try to cover that potential most probable questions, which you can get from the test series, previous year questions, like that. So then that's enough. That will be enough in case of your ancient, art and architecture and medieval. Provided other subjects are done well.
Sir, sir, if current affairs are good, I mean, I have analyzed the papers, previous year papers. If you are good in current affairs, then almost 30 to 40% of your paper is complete for prelims.
But more than current affair, if you are very good in conventional, your 70 to 80% is complete. Okay. So conventional is very important in prelims. But current related question will come, but conventional is, you need to be very, very strong.
Sir? Sir, for geography, do you have any opinion what can be expected more, the static part this year or the part from the current affairs? Or
geography, nobody know. These times they are not asking. Last year also not much question. Previous year also not much question. But it can come anytime. But instead of geography, most of the questions are coming from ecology environment. So that will be the trend. There is geography as such, chances are less, and I don't think that you will get much questions from geography. There is no logic also. Direct static geography questions will come. Ecology environment, you will get questions, more questions.
Science and tech.
Science and tech, if you can cover science and tech, you'll get very good edge. Only only current affairs. In case of science and tech, you take last 2 years PT 365. So that almost all the important current affairs will be covered. For other subjects, if you are following 1 year current affair or 1.5 year current affair, for science and tech, you take 2 years and complete it. So everything will be covered. You won't miss out anything.
okay.
Okay. Can we stop here?
Yes.
Tomorrow we will start with Weber. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. See you.